Waving, 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 waving. Are we all, the ones who are left here, are we all here for the East African media for the children being redefined? Are we all here? Sawa. Then I'll urge all of us to kuje katikati. Let's come in the middle and then we move in front so that we see how many people we have. Let's fill this space here in the middle. Yes, let's come this way. Let's come this way. Yes, and then let's move forward.
Recording in progress.
If there's an empty seat in front of you, just move to it, please. Just move to the empty seat. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, hi. How are you? People are not happy. Why? Have you eaten? Has everyone eaten? Can I see the brightest smile? The brightest smile. That is not a bright smile. Okay, so here we're going to be doing we're going to be having a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot, but first, I'd love for us to start with an activity. Sindio, say activity. Say activity. I'm not hearing the energy. Say activity. Yes, we are starting with an activity. Sindio? Yes. So this is what I'd love us to do. I want one straight line here. And then people to stand either on this side or on this side. Just choose your side, this side or this side, and then you stand. Let's first of all stand. Let's first of all stand. Now, the people from you, going backwards, there's no one. Let's move to this side. The rest, let's move to this side. Now, let's form one straight line and face the other side. One straight line, face this side. Thank you. Thank you. Asante sana. Now, this is a small activity that we're going to do. You heard that here we are redefining the media for the children, Sindio? So that's why a child is here, and you're going to do what the child says. Right? Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play a small game called tic-tac-toe. Say tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac-toe. Yes, it goes like this. When I point to her, I say tick. She points to another person, says tack. And then she points to another person, says toe. And if you waste time, when I say tick, then you get confused, you sit down, okay? If I say, for example, tick, and then you confuse the person you're pointing to, you sit down, okay? Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Tick. Yes, both of you, just grab your seats. Just grab your seats. Just grab your seats, okay? Okay, let's call that the dry run. Let's call that the dry run, Cindy. No, let's call that the dry run. You've gotten how it goes, Cindy. Are you ready? Tick. You haven't pointed. Just grab your seat. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go again. Let's go again. Tick. Yes, just have your seat. Yes, you. Yes. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Just have your seat. Let's start again. Let's start again. Tick. Have your seat. Grab your seat. Grab your seat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Let's go again. Tick. Yes, Chief. Just grab your seat. Tick. Tack to who? Tack to who? Let's go again. Let's go again. Let's go again. Tick. You're supposed to point to the other side. Just grab it. grab your seat. Tick. Yes, Miss Jennifer. Just grab your seat. Yes, we start again. Tick. Now who is sitting? You're the one sitting. Thank you, Asante sana. Thank you, thank you. Tick. She's not concentrating. She's not that one for Dio. She's not concentrating. Grab your seat. Grab your seat. Let's go again. Tick. Tack, where? Grab your seat, grab your seat. One last round. Tick. Oh, I sit down. Tick. Let's a round of applause for this side, by the way. Almost all of them have been here. Sindio. Asante sana. A round of applause. Thank you. So we will be having a lot of fun, and we will also be redefining the media for the children. And to start this session, I'm going to invite Madam Jennifer Kaberi, the CEO / founder of Mtoto News. Let's give her a round of applause as she comes to the stage. A round of applause.
Thank you, everybody, for staying for our session. So to give context to this session, I just want to give, in 2019, Mtoto News conducted a study, and we just wanted to understand children and media in the Kenyan space. And one of the things that came out was that children are not in the media. And where children are in the media, they are basically entertainment or on Saturday morning for Thank you. So especially on Saturday morning between 9 and 11 for cartoon. That's the only time, the only programming for children is there. And children were seen as if they don't have brains or opinions, they can be able to contribute. And that felt really bad. And in the news space, we found out that a lot of children felt that they were being depicted as negative or as vulnerable. There are no stories of strong children who can be able to say something. When matters affecting them are being discussed, no one was coming in front and asking children, what is your opinion? They will bring children experts, like myself, okay? And nobody was asking children. So that put children in they felt that they are being depicted as people who don't have brains, okay, as vulnerable, or always very emotive, okay? If a child has been abused or has been beaten up, it was going to make story. It was going to make news. But when a child has done an amazing job, that is not going to make news. So there were key recommendations that we made. One of them is training journalists. And I know Abbas here we've spoken about before. Ensuring that there's training for children reporting during your training. Okay, number 2 was forming networks to ensure that they are able to train. One of the best thing about this research, we spoke to children and also spoke to journalists. The journalists told us that one of the reasons they don't report on children was because they fear. Okay, because reporting children, there's consent, there's safeguarding, there's all this. Okay, so and one of the recommendation is to empower media houses to come with safeguarding policies and train their journalists on safeguarding policies and provide enough resources to help these children journalists to be able to report these stories in a way that is not going to compromise the safety of children, okay? And what the other recommendation that came out was training children to speak for themselves, because journalists said, we don't have enough children who can be able to speak for themselves, so training children to be able to speak for themselves. And that's why we have someone like Omar and Brian and some kids there who are going to be joining us virtually very shortly. Omar, I'm done, thank you.
Thank you. I was actually confirming because there is someone who's supposed to join online, Hadija. I don't know if she's...
Recording in progress.
Arrived at is actually factual. Children are not appropriately, sufficiently covered in the media. And it's not happening here, by the way, only globally, there is a problem. Even in countries that you think are very developed, there is this problem. The International Federation of Journalists did a research and found out that actually children were being covered in case of an abuse, in case of exploitation, in case of a sensational story. And if I today asked one of us from here, when was the last time you saw a story on TV? It was a defilement. It was the children that were burnt. So you will rarely get to hear about children, yeah? So this is the reason why actually High Sound for Children came on board. My name is Hadija Mwaje. I forgot to introduce myself. I've been in the media since 2005. Do the math, it's coming to 20 years. I have done media, reported, broken news, done it all until I said, no, I need to look for where the gap is after realizing this. And this is the basis of High Sound for Children. And we've been to schools, we launched media clubs in schools because wherever we went, like Jennifer said, the media would say, the children don't want to talk. But also there are times when the children have spoken and you expose them even further. I've seen on, I'm sorry to say, on NBS one day, they were interviewing a girl who had been defiled. And the way the reporter was really digging the story without taking care of the emotions that the children was expressing. The girl would cry, break down, and then he would say, hey, sorry. And then what happened? Really? So even in cases where stories have been covered, children are exposed further. So there is a big problem. But by the fact that we are talking about it, it is going to improve slowly. We have had engagements with editors. We've been to NTV, we've been to NBS, we've been to Daily Monitor, we've been to the New Vision to preach. And we believe, it's gradual. We shall get there. But I also believe starting early will help. And one of the things that we found out was the children don't want to talk. That is why we launched media clubs in schools to empower children to do what? To talk. But we also introduced them to media. Today, we are going to have children from St. Andrews, Lugazi joining. They are child journalists. And they will be joining. They do their journalism in their school. They write their stories. They rehearse shows. They have opinions almost on each show that runs. So we shall get to hear from them. I don't want to speak a lot because this is a platform for children. And please, as you discuss, be children. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hadija. I guess whatever she has actually spoken about are things that we as child journalists, that's Naomi and Brian and the rest of the team, we have actually seen. You can go to places where the children, it's a children event. For example, World Children's Day. It's a children's event. Children are supposed to be the ones speaking, but maybe in the panel discussions, there are no children. Maybe in the panel discussions, the children are not even being allowed to ask questions. So these are things that maybe we need to look at. Cindy. So at this point, I'd love to invite Collins Orono, who's going to be carrying out the panel discussion. Hopefully we will have a lot of fun. Sindio Collins. Sindio actually means, isn't it, in Kiswahili? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Omar. Let's clap for him. Okay, my name is Collins Orono. I'm a journalist from Kenya, but I also train children on digital literacy and basic storytelling, right? So the two guys that you're seeing here are actually a product of what I do. And I'm happy that we have this platform that trains young people to tell stories from their own point of view. Right, thank you. So I want to welcome Omar and Brian to come here and join us in this conversation. So we have other kids that are joining us on via Zoom, as mentioned by Hadija, and Jennifer and Hadija. I think they'll also be joining us here so that we can hear their perspectives about the data that they have and why they decided that they are creating these platforms that are giving children an opportunity to share their own stories or to do
and why they
decided that they are creating these platforms that are giving children an opportunity to share their own stories. Here on Zoom. Though it seems we have a little bit of a challenge. Okay. So, Hadija, karibu sana. Or to sorry, I know we are East Africa, right? Hadija, yeah, you'll see some, you'll hear some, Swahili words being thrown, but I'll make sure that if I throw a Swahili word, I let you know what it means, okay? For me to be inclusive. All right, thank you. So, by the way, we were, the conversation here was about including minority groups in the media. Do you, are children part of minority groups? Or do you think that children could have been involved or included in this conversation? The other session that we had? Yes. Do you think so? Yes. All right. So, unfortunately, you didn't ask that question. Yes. So, thank you. Karibuni sana. You're welcome. So, let me ask you, first of all, Omar and Brian, who are young journalists. Maybe you could tell us briefly what is being a young journalist? Because when introducing yourself, people were like shocked, like, okay, you are a young journalist, a child journalist. What do you mean? Maybe you could tell us what does it mean and how do you do this?
When I say that I am a child journalist, it means that I have been trained and mentored by Mtoto News to be able to tell the stories of children. I got to be trained by Mtoto News in 2019. That was in April. That's 4 years ago, yeah. And after being trained by them in media skills, child advocacy, fake news, and all that, also camera operation, after being trained by them, I got to be mentored by Mtoto News for all those years up to this point in 2022. And throughout that time, I have been taught on how to get stories. I have been taught on how to, project the stories of children, now through me and through the media or content creation. So when I say that I'm a child journalist, basically that's what it entails.
All right, thank you very much, Omar. What does that mean to you?
Being a child journalist is actually a lot. It's a lot because not only are you a journalist, but you also have to be a child. For me, being a child journalist is all about telling the child's story, the children's story now from a child's perspective. As me, as Brian King, I know the issues because I can connect with children more easily, being a child. For me, being a child journalist is about bringing out the positive stories. I mean, we all know, we've been hearing about it all the whole day. Children's stories being all negative. We don't get to see the positive. And this is mostly because when you ask them, they will be like, oh, what kind of positive stories do you want us to tell? Do you want us to go to schools and cover children dancing? No. Children are actually very innovative. These are the kind of stories that me, Omar, and the whole team at Mtoto News basically wants to bring out. This is what when we are training children to become child journalists, this is what we are expecting, to bring out the story and the voice of the child through media, because we believe in the power of influence and we want children to be in that. So for me, being a child journalist is all about getting my voice out there using the channel of media, basically.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. Maybe I don't want to go to Jennifer and Hadija first because, these more children. What do you guys think about, now the guys who are joining us online, thank you very much for joining us and welcome. First of all, I will request one of you guys to introduce yourselves and what do you guys do as child journalists? Yes, can you hear me? All right. Are they muted? Sorry, kindly please unmute. Unmute your audio.
Yeah, we are unmuted. So, good evening, guys.
Yes.
My name is Saleta George, representing from St. Andrews Secondary School, that I am the club president, journalism club, with my co-chief innocent, right from St. Andrews, Uganda.
Okay, I think we seem to have a challenge with the audio. Maybe as we try to fix that, let me come back to you guys, Omar and Brian. Are you guys okay? Okay, so Brian and Omar, you've heard the report that Jennifer has just read, and what do you guys think about that report? Does it reflect what children are? Maybe you could tell us, give us an overview of what you guys like, because sometimes you confuse us as adult journalists. We don't know what you like. For us, we go to the field, we do stories, and for all consumers. So tell us, what do you guys like? Which platforms can we find you? How can we find you?
Well, when I speak from a child's perspective and basically speaking from the children and the teens of, let me call them the Gen Z, well, the most social media platforms that these children do access currently, I think number one it might be TikTok, Instagram. I don't know Facebook. Facebook seems people redefined it. They like say it's for old people and all that. So these are most of the social media platforms that children are available. And what we like is, for example, the media. For example, currently in Kenya, if we go back to Kenya, the previous, if you ask anyone, some of the previous stories that were told about children, it is either children who killed themselves in school, children who were defiled, children who basically negative things. And since we are trying as much as possible as Mtotonis to redefine this, we try to speak, yes, about the challenges that children go through, but at the same time, we're also speaking about the positive aspects that children get. For example, in Mtotonis, we do have a show called News Insights, whereby we, the children, do go to the field, collect news, and then come back to the studio, package it, someone anchors it, and then after that, we get to do something called Let's Talk About It. We do speak about the challenges that children go through, but at the same time, we do speak about emerging topics of children. Like just recently this year, we did speak about the issue of children being given this things like, you remember the data that was released of high teenage pregnancies in the country. We spoke about children being given these things like condoms, these P2s that people usually mention. We did speak about that subject, and we did get it from children's perspective. What do they want? What do they think about this topic? Is it okay for them to do this? Is it okay for them not to do this? That is one show that we speak about now, the challenges. You find that there are other shows like Before 18, where we congratulate the children who are trying to make a really big positive aspect. A good example that we've done a show with is Shana Manjeru, who is a musician, and she's around 14 years. So you see, we are talking about children making great strides in the media, and also we are talking about the things that are also affecting them, because you cannot hide one and showcase one. So I do feel like this is something that we should actually adopt. We should talk about children and in the positive perspective about what they are achieving, the great strides that they are going through, and also we can also talk about now the challenges that are affecting them and the solutions that we can come up with, and especially involving the children in coming up with those solutions. So basically, that's what we feel at Mtoronis, or I feel that we should be able to do to ensure that the children have a good space in the media.
I thank you very much. Are you guys back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, all right, let's go. I'd asked you to introduce yourself and tell us what you do in relation to being child journalists.
My name is Sergio from Secondary School, Uganda, and I'm the club president journalism club with Michael, Team Innocent. And that's how we try to maneuver up this club of our school from the best of this country. So in our school, we founded this journalism club and try to give in some news to students, then correct news to students. We read them, edit, but as a club, we face some challenges and maybe add on top of what I just said, we make articles, but unfortunately, we got the problem that by the time this weekend
Okay.
has occurred, our school is having an examination. So that's why we are being able to just have the two of us immediately, him and I, because the rest of the students, even after all the vice president, the vice chairman, that we came and for his examination. So
Some
I think that's
challenge with their internet. Maybe they can try fix that out. Maybe let me come to Jennifer and Hadija. First of all, what inspired you guys to, to get into this? Because it's basically an area that I'm actually wondering, is this a business or you guys are doing? Because, if you tell someone you're training child journalists, the first question that will come maybe, what profits do you guys get? Are you guys doing a business? Do you have maybe revenue that you get from, working with child journalists, or what is it you're doing?
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Collins, for that question. So, I'm a child development specialist, but my undergraduate is in communication. So, and I did journalism in my communication class. So, but I've worked as a social worker for a very long time. So, and every time I approach my friends who decided to be journalists when I was choosing to be a social worker, can you please come and cover this story? They'll go and say, oh, Jennifer, the editor that, oh, the editor that, oh, student, one of them told me, Jennifer, the reality is it's not going to go on print, okay? Because children's stories don't sell. Okay, and I was like, are you kidding me? The children's stories don't sell. Then how can you assume literally 50% of the population, because children are 50% of any, even in Uganda, 50% of the population are persons below the age of 18. And I could say they do, and then remembered, man, I have a communication degree that I can just start using it. So that's how I started in Total News, just to ensure that children's stories are being heard, okay, and their stories are able to influence. Because one thing about the media, the tool that is called the media, it is a powerful that causes change, okay, policy change, developments change, all any kind of change is as a result of the media. And if the children voices are not in the media, their voices are not going to influence any sort of policy. And that's why I started with Total News, to be able to give children a platform where they can be able to speak and their voices to be heard and to be to influence. And then when we started, we were doing the stories ourselves. And then we realized when Omar speaks, when he started with Omar, he was really tiny. He was like 13 years old, So when Omar speaks, it's more powerful. So why not train Omars? They are in their cohort. You are like 30. When we started with 30 kids, and they will come up with brilliant story ideas, and we said, okay, fine. You guys can you help us to do the stories? And like that. Now, if you come to our office, it's all children, even everything, even the studios and everything have been done by the kids. Okay, so it's why we started is to be able to give children a platform and voice to be able to speak for themselves.
Right. Let me come to you, Hadija. I think the same question. How do you do this?
So for me, like I told you, it's getting to 20 years of me in the media. And while I was in the newsroom, I worked as a reporter, I worked as an editor and a news anchor. And throughout as an editor, if I had some of the reporters that I led here, they would tell you, I would send them back in case they did a story that lacked a voice of a child or a female. That defined me in the newsroom. And not because of anything, but I know these are voices that we leave behind as we rush. If you go out to, for instance, do an interview, and you say, what has happened? For instance, in case of an accident, chances are high that the men will give you the bite. And the women will first wait. Probably they even have better stories, but because they can't stand up, due to norms, culture, and all that. And so we end up having voices of men throughout. We would have adults speaking for children. And so for me, I made it a policy in the newsroom at KFM that if you came back without a voice of a child or a woman, I would send you back. And now it became a routine. If I was on the desk, the reporters knew they had to have bites like that. But as I went on, I said, what can I do more? Because I can't be an editor at Capita, I can't be an editor at NTV. What can I do? This birthed the idea of High Sound for Children. And when we were looking for a name, I contacted 5 journalists. A group of By the High Sound for Children was started by a team of 6 journalists. And we shared, the same idea. And we said, which name can we go for? So we are going to make noise. That's why we got the name High Sound for Children. And as we moved along, we noticed that even the children needed to learn. We started with universities. One time I contacted Abasi at Media Challenge. And we felt maybe we need to start early with the student journalists at universities. So we speak to them so we can start early, so that by the time a journalist comes out of school, they know that even a child is there. So we have also been doing that in universities. But then there is also that empowerment that the children need. That is why we reached out to schools. I must apologize, our children have not been able to join because we all know in Uganda it's examination time and schools are really rushing to beat the deadline that was set government, the 25th of November, for all schools to close because of Ebola. So schools are really uptight, and the 3 children, I thank St. Henry's, they've stepped out of an examination to come and talk to us. But we have also realized that even the children are interested themselves. Because, for instance, at St. Andrews, the children already had a club. And when they heard about High Sound for Children, when we launched the clubs in Jinja, they reached out to us through another journalist. And they had already organized themselves at school. They would do news, practice themselves. And we said, wow, this is a team that is already on the move. So we've been to schools where even the children are already moving, and you notice that there was a need, and we are only fitting into this need and, supporting for the children to get where they want to be. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes. Okay, let's move to the next question, Brian and Omar. Unfortunately, the guys who are joining us online, maybe it's hard for us to be part of this. But what do you guys really want, or what do you feel needs to be included in the media, especially for children? Because, if you say you want to be included, how do you want to be included? Let me start with Brian.
Okay, so if you're with us in the morning, I had one of the panelists saying, we need to have better journalists. And then it got myself thinking, who is a better journalist? What makes a better journalist, right? Is it the skill or is it the education? And so I asked someone, I interacted with a few of you guys, and they told me it's the skill that matters, in whatever job. And so when we're talking about content for children, why do you think we are more interested in TikTok, Instagram, Reels, even YouTube Shorts? It's because you choose that over something that is going to interest you. That is where we are at. I mean, there is this perception that children only care about, when you're thinking about children's content, it's either cartoons, animations, or movies, or such. No. Children are also interested. We're also growing up, right? We also want to do stuff. We want to learn how to bake. We want to learn how to do simple things that are going to innovate us. That is where media is currently headed. Whenever you are thinking of children's content, it is not about just passing information. Because these days information can be received via Google, via Wikipedia, via whatever section. It's about passing information that is actually going to help, information that hasn't reached children. It's about showing children that, yes, you are small, but there are children out there who are just as small as you, but are also making a difference. We have children who are working and innovating and inventing and even empowering other children. We have child rights advocates. They're not in the media. They're not at all. Whenever we are invited for interviews, it's I know in Kenya it is during KCP time, or whenever you were kidnapped and you got returned. So it is not such. In fact, you asked Collins. You asked us. You guys are confused because you don't know what kind of stories to tell about us. Well, we don't want you guys to tell stories about us. Why don't you let us tell our stories? Give us the platforms. You know, if it's all about inclusivity, if we want to involve everyone in the group, if everyone should be involved no matter how minor they are, then we as children are also part of the group. Media stations should definitely have a segment for children, not to entertain, not to dance, not to show the movies or to review the movies, but to pass out information as children, to show that, to even the voice as children. We should have segments of our own because we are also groups and we want to be included. The reason why I believe the current generation does not, the millennials, I'll not blame Gen Z, I blame the millennials. The millennials are not as active as the previous generation was, is because they grew up knowing that we are there to be told. We are there to, what mom said, no, it's access to information. It's ability to discern that information. And we have this. I'm just trying to prove to you guys that we have this. You just have to give us a platform. It's not just about asking how to do it. It's about letting us show you how to do it. This time we are more empowered than you guys. We have more information that we have more information.
So let me ask you. So you want to discuss these issues then?
Then we come up with solutions. That's the kind of mentality I'm talking about. You will give children a room and you will let them make noise and make noise and make noise. You will hear them. You will not listen. And then after that, you will go home feeling very proud you have empowered children. Then what? Then we provide the solutions. Whenever we ask a question, whenever you ask us a questions, we give you an answer. Also ask for a solution. Give us time. Give us the plan. You as journalists, I love that you actually force them to get the views of the child. It's so interesting that you guys think the child is only going to say hi. No. Children actually have an important perspective. Just like you, we are also able to absorb information and we're also able to relay it. Yes.
Right. I think the same question, Omar, was how do you guys want to be included in the media?
The main thing that I'm going to champion is child participation mostly. And I feel like, well, there are some of the things that we as the children might not like being produced in the media. For example, or things that, do not benefit children, for example. If I can give an example of, for example, a beer commercial, for example. When they're showcasing the beer commercial, I've said this many times, you find that the first, a commercial usually runs for around 2 minutes, India. And if it's 2 minutes, the beer commercial runs for around 1 minute, 30 seconds. And then the last maybe 10 seconds, or you find they're saying this beer sample consumption harmful to health, it's really not for sale person under the age of 18 years. So like the whole thing is about how this product is amazing, it's awesome, it's fantastic, it's dope. And then the last 5 seconds, maybe it's when now they're saying the cause, and you don't even hear them. After seeing how it's amazing, you know, go back to cooking and you start doing your stuff. So you don't get to see like all that. So these are some of the things that I think the media should try and consider consider the views of the children in making all that. But onto your question, it's all about child participation. I would really love for all the TV stations, because let me go to TV station example. If they can have a really good segment for children, and it's not only on Saturday. Children don't only watch TV on Saturdays. When you come, for example, after school at around 4 to 5 to 6, that's the time children are back home. Sindio? When at that time, you can at least use this opportunity to engage children. Things like climate change would not be talking about them when children, during that time, you're telling them the importance of maintaining the environment, the importance of cleaning the environment, the importance of planting trees, importance of not fighting and all that. So if you give this information during that time, children get to absorb that. And they don't even know they're learning actually. You can do it in a very entertaining way. And that's why I'm saying that children should be the ones doing this. You do it in a very entertaining way that it's like machine learning. children don't know they're actually learning, but actually learning. They're actually absorbing information.
Right. I'm happy that you mentioned about a beer commercial, and maybe, for example, and Hadija is here. She has been an editor. I want you to ask her that question: why that comes, and why do they do that when she was on TV?
Yes, Hadija, why?
What a question. But we also have to know that most of the content, especially that is commercial, is decided by the advertiser. This is content that actually comes in edited. There are companies that do these ads, and when you reach a deal or finalize a deal with an advertiser, they send in content done like that. I think these are all areas where we need to, really demand a change. I have been to different terminals in different countries, and when it comes to cigarettes, when it comes to beer, the writings are so clear. Here they are disguised. It is harmful to your health. In some other countries, they will tell you it will kill you. It will it's very clear. But because of the struggling media environment, because the media in Uganda is struggling commercially, the advertisers pull the strings. So in cases where the media has little say, such things pass. But I believe these are areas that as we continue moving, we confront them and try to make a change. I like his submission. Even in Kenya on Saturdays, children.
Yes, it is every Saturday.
Thank you. Uganda, same. And you will find in the entire East African region, it is the same. Guys, we need to do better.
Yeah, if now I may add on now from the child's perspective, I mean, you see now what she has actually told us, that it's the editors who get to decide how it goes and all that. So that's where we are actually lacking the child participation part of it. Not only in that, but in most of the programs, for example, if now that beer commercial just comes and then the editor is like, how much is it bringing? 1 million, put it on. I mean, they don't even consult the children and get to know what's happening actually. So if they can actually consult the children on something like that, for example, make it clear that this product will actually destroy your life. That's how children can get to this information.
Thank you. Maybe, Jennifer, do you have a comment? Actually, because we are out of time, and I wanted to give maybe a few questions before we conclude, yes? We go to the questions. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Assist me with the...
Hi, everyone. My name is Christine, and I'm a content creator and influencer. So my question is, when usually reporters are reporting on children, they, especially like sexual assault and the related kind of things, they hide the child's face, but then they go ahead and put the parent's face. So if I know the parent and I know they have only one daughter, don't I automatically know that this is the daughter that they are talking about? So what's the point of hiding the child's face if you're going to publish the father's face and the mother's face? Because I realized that they do it every single time. All the stories I've watched this year, they never cover the parent's face. So I think that's a concern that needs to be put on table. And then there are PG programs. How do we protect kids from watching TV at a certain time? Do the parents really have to be there to give parental guidance? And is the parental guidance should be observed, like at the beginning, really our call for parents to actually guide their kids, or kids are just watching screen unsupervised? Is this something the media should look at, or is it something parents themselves should try and solve?
Right, thank you. Wow. Okay, let's take from him.
Daniel again. Must commend you for the work you're doing at Mtoto News. My contribution is that as a media owner, I know there's a lot of money in investing in children. In my station, the second most watched program after sports is the children show on Saturday morning. I must say it's always on Saturday morning. But now from what I've gotten from the panelists is that you don't need to do those programs only on Saturday. And for us, it's more of a singing game, nothing educational, just to babana mama and, play games. But now I need to invest in climate change and, health and other areas where you get to impact some kind of knowledge to the kids on certain topics that you think they don't understand, but I think from your discussion, they do understand some of these topics that are needed to be told. Number two is that the people who are in that program are adults, so I need to include kids in the programs. So thank you very much for the insight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There was a question. Let's go to her, then we come back to you. Oh, okay, you can proceed.
All right. Good evening to everyone here. My name is Aikuru Sandra, and thank you so much, Mtoto News and High Sound for Children, on what you're doing. Mine is more of a concern because from your discussion, all I have had is school children, school children. I am of a belief that if parents are included in this child participation for the media, they can do better. I come from a community where certain questions are not asked, especially if you are very inquisitive on certain topics. A parent will tell you, no, that is not your point to ask, or someone will tell you, as a child, you should not ask certain questions. So I'm directing this to you people. Yes, child participation is key. However, what environment are you giving, are you enabling from home? Are the parents included? The community, are they included to know that these are children, they are growing? So you need to give them the information in a manner that lets them to know that they are growing. So they need to digest the information in a different way. Thank you.
Right, thank you. There's a question. Please ask a question because we are out of time. Just go straight to the point.
Good afternoon. My name is Constance Ichuma Sir from Uganda Christian University, Nyatu. My question is to Hadija. I've made a simple analysis and observation, and I realized with the cases that are being shown on TV or the ones they air on radio about the children that are disadvantaged, especially the girls, most of these stories are reported by male journalists who always show the dominance. Like if the girl is crying, instead of creating that ambience that they also feel sorry, they sit on the chair and the girl is on a mat. And in most cases, such girls don't easily open up.
Okay, so what should be done? Okay, please kindly assist her with the microphone. I'll kindly take her as the last one so that we can get the answers from here because of time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Hannah Renaito, a Media Challenge Initiative Fellow. So my question goes to Hadija. Journalism is a very risky sector. How are we protecting and ensuring that the children who are taking part in it are safe? And then how do we still give these children the space to be able to express themselves in media and still be able to balance school? Because I'm a student at university and I also work, and that alone is a challenge. So how do we create that space for children to be able to balance the two? Thank you.
All right, let's start with Jennifer. There were the first two questions, I think. Then there are the two that were directed to Hadija.
So I will start with her question about safeguarding, and I'm going to combine with the two about safeguarding in the media. It's a whole training, and that's why when you're talking about children and media, we have to start by training the journalist on safeguarding. There's something called child-sensitive reporting. Okay, so when you're reporting, you have to be conscious on the environment of where you're reporting. Let alone the parent, showing the parent's face. But if you can show the road or the school or the uniform, it will give away what the child. Okay, so it's a whole training that needs to be on child-sensitive reporting. I'm going to go to her question about involving of parents. We involve parents. We involve parents in all places. They are here because their parents give them consent. They won't be here because their parents are not consent. On balance, we try to involve children during holidays and weekends so that there's that balance, okay? And why we are because media is a life skill. It's not a career. It's a life skill, right now especially. It's a life skill. You need to know how to navigate the media. And if you give that children as a life skills, they can be able to balance school and to be able to balance everything.
All right, thank you. Hadija?
Thank you so much. One on safety. This is a big problem when it comes to child protection. Like I said when I had just started, we are moving. We have closely worked with the Uganda Child Rights NGO Network to do, together with Mutoto News, to make sure that we do a lot of training. But you know, sometimes it seems like a drop in an ocean, because today you have a training and then tomorrow you have another story airing. So we have also resorted to case-by-case handling. Today you have a case, you speak to the reporter. Sometimes we do calls and talk to this person. Let them know there was a better way of doing the story. And you see them also noticing. I think it is something that we had done for so long, and it had become part of our behavior that will take time to change, but we do that. Then engaging parents, yes, we do. In the schools where we work, we have sessions with parents, especially on days when children are presenting. The parents come forward, and we have had parents amazed by how much their children know. Sometimes we engage parents up to their homes. You know, at one school we went and the child was able to open up that she was being defied by an uncle at home through the writing and all the engagements that we had. And we had to go up to the girl's home and she was able to be supported. So sometimes we handle case by case, but there is also a session for parents. And at High Sound for Children, we have a parents coordinator strictly for that. Identify cases that come related to parents. How do we balance children? Like Jennifer said, the last weekend is when I had a Saturday home after 4 months. Our work goes through the weekends because that is when you can get the children and holidays.
Right, thank you very
so
much. Thank you very much. Because of time, this conversation can still go on and on, but because of time, we are not able to continue with the conversation. So, Jennifer?
I just want to say thank you for coming, and we have to put children in the center of the media because they are the majority. And as statistics show, by the year 2050, there will be about 1 billion African children. And if we don't empower them at this age, they'll not be able to speak and develop our continent. Thank you.
One word.
Let's take children seriously. Let's listen to them, not just hear them. We are also very important and wise.
Okay, one word.
The future of the country, of the world, of the continent is bright, then that means that the children are well empowered.
All right, thank you very much, guys. A round of applause to the guys as we conclude the conversation. Asanteni sana for this amazing conversation. All right, thank you, guys. Oh, sawa. All right.
Thank you.
Let me take this back to...
Right here. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, wonderful session. I wanted to start by asking who in the room has children? Who, if you're in the room and you have children? How many people? I see 3 hands, 4. Okay. How many people in the room are children? Nah, you're on the cow. Come on. Your child, Namnagani, please. The reason because it's I've got 2 small boys for now. I'm trying to add to their number as much as possible. Wait, here we say I've got 2 small boys that I know of. So I've got it's a thing. So here you never say, you never know. We keep discovering that people have children they didn't know about. I've got two young boys, Jeremiah who is 10, Micah who is now 7. And as you can imagine, when I grew up back in the 80s, the way media was consumed was very different. We had one radio station which was too boring, you couldn't listen to it. You had one TV station which half the time was doing programs on agriculture. And now you've got, I don't know, 300 radio stations, 65 TV stations, online and YouTube. My son does a lot of YouTube, and what we had to do was, from a very early age, sort of condition him. This bad, that good. This bad, that good. Because you can't monitor them the entire time. But also, especially, I think the biggest challenge that we had with him was the ads. Because even on YouTube for kids, there are some really, really scary ads that show up. So we have, to also train him. That ad bad, no ads acceptable. Every time you see an ad, skip it immediately. So, but wonderful discussion. It was interesting to listen to, especially as a parent. So that about brings us to the end of the business side of things for East Fest 2022. Let's wrap it up with some more fun, the fun in the fest. And to do that, I'm going to need to set up the room. So I'm going to ask that we move our chairs to the side of the room as far back as possible, because I'm going to need to use this space. And so I'd like to ask to inconvenience you to just move your chairs to as far away as possible. If you need to go do a bathroom break, you can take a walk outside for just a little bit and then come back into the room in about 10, 15 minutes. In the meantime, Sal DJ is going to be playing, and then we'll gather back here in about 10, 12 minutes, and then we'll get ready for what should be a proper grand finale as we close in style. So